All right, let's Ross. I haven't heard this. Ross Tucker on Trey Lance. Take a listen.
I think they've soured on him a little bit. And do I think that he's a work in progress? Maybe, but he's been there a decent amount of time now. I know the injuries, and I know they felt like they needed to develop him and all that stuff, and they don't want to go through those growing pains with him now or the development with him now. I get that. But, Evan, to pay the money they did for Sam Darnold, like decent money, to go out and get Sam Darnold, and maybe you could say that that's just because there are injury concerns for both Purdy and Lance, which I get. But even if you feel like Trey Lance needs some development, they made the decision a year ago to go with Trey Lance as their starting quarterback. And now this year, he's not good enough to even be the backup? I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that they haven't soured on him a little bit if he's not even good enough to be the backup, because it's pretty clear from anyone you talk to that they like Sam Darnold more than Trey Lance, which I think is pretty alarming if you're a Niners fan.
Wow, we played ping pong with this. Go ahead, Steiny, because I didn't took major cracks at it.
So here's the way I think.
Oh boy,
here's the way I look at this. It's forget Trey Lance. The first thing I thought about, okay, if they sour on Trey Lance, I think your mind goes one of two places. What a bust! No, that's not where I go.
Okay,
I go when you look at the Bay Area professional sports teams. If Trey Lance doesn't start for the 49ers and eventually gets moved, name me a bigger mistake that a Bay Area pro team's front office has ever made than that one. That's like, here's the thing. Like, I resent that Trey Lance may be called a bust because he may never have had it in him to be a pro quarterback. I wish we could not use Trey Lance's name.
Yeah.
Let's use Matt Steinmetz.
All right.
And this is going to be...
But you got the same
This is an analogy.
history as him.
This is an analogy that's, exaggerated. But let's say, hypothetically, I'm a senior at Franklin and Marshall College, and the Warriors draft me. They think they draft me. And I'm sitting at my school saying, oh my God, I can't play in the NBA. I know that. So am I a bust? Because the Warriors drafted a guy who couldn't play in the league. He couldn't. Now, obviously, Trey Lance is beyond comparing to me. But my point is the same, is that if Trey Lance comes to the Niners and can't really get on and we're a few years, if he can't get on the field, and then they have to trade him, and he goes somewhere else, and he doesn't do much, and then all of a sudden he's 7 years in, it's like, yeah, he's no good. He's not going to play. Yeah. I don't think he's a bust, because at that point, I think he never had it in him. He was never a pro, because he's been with 3 organizations. Nobody's been able to develop him, and so how can you be a bust if you were never good enough to be even an average NFL quarterback?
Well, I'll take it from here. I hear you talking, but at the end of the day, the ramifications of him not working out equate to bust. So if you want to exonerate Trey Lance because he didn't draft himself, you got to deal. Somebody, Kyle, they have to deal with what in the hell did you...
It's 90% on the organization.
98.
Okay.
Fair. Now,
all right, we agree on that.
This is the first time I always... What about James Wiseman, Sonny? Because as soon as you were setting that up, I'm thinking about... At least we're watching the chapter. Dude, they got a 5-minute video. You wouldn't see it on Twitter of his highlights in Detroit. I'm going to send it to you.
What did he do?
Just some good plays, but it was 5 minutes worth. Blocks, dunks. Now you're laughing.
I am laughing, Goo.
This is the phase for him to prove, if you're being true with your words, that he's not a bust. He didn't work out for the Warriors, but you're not ready. You told us you're not ready to put the stamp of bust on James Wiseman.
No, but because he's already been traded, the Warriors made a big mistake.
That's the 98%.
They effed up with the Wiseman pick.
But the other part of this is Wiseman controls his fate on showing us, hey, I can actually play. Look, Ross Tucker, do I got more sources than an ex-former football player? Hell no. But that was so heavy to me that if we were to talk to him, and we'll bring it up when we get to chance, Steiny, is, damn, no depth chart has come out. And I was telling Willard and Dibbs and Allen and Evan, like, there's no way they'll put him behind Sam Darnold. And then let me finish this. Okay, let me finish this. Mm-hmm. That's my take on that. And then there's just nobody cares. I guess it's just me. I'm on an island by myself. The reason Darnold is in town is because the Niners will never have what happened to them in the NFC Championship game happen to them again. So I feel like they want what they feel or deem a guy that can handle the moment as far down the ladder as their third string quarterback. Why does the emergence of the acquisition of Sam Darnold have to be a diss to Trey Lance when there's no depth chart that has come out yet? Now, when it comes out and he's third, Steiny, everything you just said,
I don't care
I'm going to be like,
I don't care if he comes out second on the depth chart.
But that means we'll see him sooner than.
What did you make of the Darnold signing?
I just told you. I thought it was a byproduct of the fact that the way they lost that game and essentially had no quarterback, the game was over. I just think that's what that symbolizes. Like, we're going to invest in our Geico because quarterbacks just get hurt around here.
I actually agree and not on that.
What part of not?
Because look, let's say they don't forget
Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Okay. They're going to need a third.
So then who's the third? Sudfeld? He would have stayed here, essentially.
But is that what you really want? Or
do you really want Darnold? Once you're down to your third string quarterback, you're done.
Unless you're the Niners.
No, wrong.
I see.
Wrong. Because their third string quarterback next year ain't going to be as good as Purdy last year. Let's be honest. That happens once in a blue moon.
I love you for that, but I'm being so real with this. The day it was announced Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, was going to start, who was running the other way for the Niners championship chances? I was, and I wasn't by myself. It was a mob of people thinking Mr. Irrelevant, just because where he was drafted, is essentially Sudfeld, Steiny. So we thought they were going to sink. They didn't. So now you're telling me a former.
What's your major point?
That Kyle Shanahan can make a 4-star meal at a mincemeat. He can.
What's your major?
So Sam Darnold's acquisition has nothing to do with Trey Lance.
There's no doubt in my mind.
I disagree with that. I have to disagree with that. I have to.
Now, what about the?
And the reason I disagree. Here's the reason I disagree with it. Here's the reason I disagree with it. And I get injuries, but if you have Brock Purdy and Trey Lance,
gotcha.
Okay, and they're both healthy, if you get to the third string quarterback, you're in trouble. But the reality is, the 49ers said, well, what if Purdy and Lance are healthy? You know what? I think we still should get Darnold in here because we're not sold on Trey Lance, even if he's healthy.
Wow.
That's what that signing said to me. 888-957-9570 is the number. Is Sam Darnold getting signed have anything to do with Trey Lance? To me, it's hard to not make a connection there.